So we back with another one. All right.
Welcome back.
Everybody, this is Melissa. All right. Hey, Melissa, why don't you go ahead and tell us how you got into this hobby?
So I've been in the hobby for 8 years. So growing up, I pretty much wanted to be a dolphin trainer. I was obsessed with dolphins. And I remember when I was like 8 years old, I got to see a documentary of Steve Irwin talking about marine life and stuff like that. So I was like determined growing up, like, this is what I want to do. And eventually I grew out of that. And, I ended up going into school for health administration and health information technology. I did my internship at Metropolitan Hospital, and my internship experience was just really terrible. I was self-teaching myself. And after I graduated with my bachelor's in health administration, I was sitting in my room and I'm just like, where do I see myself in 5 years? Because at the time I was working at Starbucks as a barista supervisor. And I'm like, yo, I'm miserable. And what's something that I love doing? And I remember growing up, I've been around my stepdad who had a ball python and geckos and stuff like that. And I'm like, I want to go into reptiles again. So 8 years ago, I was just obsessed with dart frogs. And I just really, really wanted dart frogs. So I went to the White Plains Expo and I decided to get a Exoterra. I was on YouTube for like months, like trying to learn how to build a bioactive. And when I got my Exoterra, I just started, building everything. And eventually, after I gotten into dart frogs and I was obsessed and mastered that, I started getting into more amphibians, started working with newts, salamanders, axolotls, and then eventually I started going into crocodile skinks, and I started shifting into reptilians. So I got to meet Ron Petteroy, and he's like one of the gecko connects that I mess with heavily. And I just went to his booth, and this was 5 years ago, and I was just like, whoa, I see like this gecko with red eyes and bright colored bandings, and I'm like, I want this. I want this. So I ended up blowing my entire income tax on a group of geckos. My mom was like super tight, but yeah, I fell in love with cave geckos. And from then on, that's what I've been doing.
Nice. Is Ron still doing those shows? I haven't seen him like really like on Facebook or anything too much. Because usually that's where I'll get my gecko fix of just looking at some awesome shit.
He's not active, like super active on Facebook, but he does shows at White Plains, and he does go to the new Hamburg location. So he vents here and there. He told me that he moved to PA, so that's that.
Oh, okay.
And I've started connecting more with Richie, aka Gecko King. He's my mentor.
Yeah.
And he's who I go to with all my cave geckos. So any questions that I have, if he has anything available that I need in stock, he's my go-to.
Nice. Yeah, I'm actually about to pick up some another Chihuahua from him this week.
That's crazy because like every time that I'm going into any expo and Richie's there, he's the first person I go to. Any cave geckos, and he's like, no, not today.
Yeah, he'll get you. He definitely gets you.
What was that? Sorry.
What are you saying?
How many different species of cave geckos do you keep?
Chinese, Arrhenius, Bangwanglius, Orientalis. I think there's the rare one. I forgot how to pronounce the name, but it's with a Y. That's 5. And I think 6 different species of cave geckos.
How many are there altogether? I just recently found out there was like a whole bunch. Do you know how many species of?
About like 14. I could be wrong, but 14 or so. but
That's
they're
awesome.
super hard to get. Like, I guess from what Ron tells me, I guess there's like restrictions on importing in that area of China and stuff like that, like the islands out there. So whoever's working with certain rare species of cave geckos in the States, we have to like pretty much network and trade. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was gonna ask you, is it well represented in the hobby? Like beside, like I know like the Chinese geckos are pretty well represented. What about the other ones?
The other ones, they're not a lot of people are working with them, or if they are working with them, they're just really quiet about it.
Yeah.
My rarest ones, or my two rarest ones, is the one that starts with a Y and the Orientalis. And right now, I'm just really working like really hard for my Orientalis. So I'm trying to get more individuals for new bloodlines and stuff.
Yeah, those are the ones I've been looking for. Like every time I go to Morph Market, I'm like, all right, let's look at this cave gecko session, and it's always the Botswallings, and it's always the Haniensis, but it's never any Orientalis. So those are like my favorite ones out of the cave geckos. Those are my favorite ones.
Those are my favorite one as well. It's just, it's really hard. Like, you really have to like network around certain people, because being that you can't get any more from, you know, being imported and stuff like that, you literally have to network. Or whoever has a large group, they're like pretty much keeping it to themselves. So yeah.
You can't be keeping everything. I need some.
Room here, but what's the these things? Like, what's the common name for the Orientalis? Is there like a normal something cave gecko, like a Vietnamese cave gecko? Which
usually is Goniosaurus orientalis, Goniosaurus bangwanglius. What else?
So that's like the regular name, like Chinese cave gecko.
That's the scientific name, but pretty much I believe there's like tiger cave gecko. But that's the most that I know.
The Orientalis.
Yeah,
the Orientalis is like Japanese cave gecko.
Yeah.
So find them, because I don't know how what the hell I'm even trying to read. I'd never be able to read that name. I wouldn't be able to.
Usually, I just sum it up. I just call it Orientalis.
There you go. So you keep what you said, about 5 or 6 of them?
Yeah, at the moment.
Yeah. So is the character similar between all the ones that you keep, or is there little triggers here and there that you need to adjust for each species?
So that's what I'm learning about, actually. Pretty much, I have all my cave geckos in Tupperwares, about like 20 inches long Tupperwares, and like maybe 4 inches deep, and I have a substrate of jungle mix, ABG mix, and cocoa husk together mixed in. I have isopods in there to help maintain any feces and stuff like that. And I have coconut hides, or multiple hides, so that they can scatter to. And then on top of that, I have leaf foliages, or fake plant decor on top. Usually they don't do good in high temperatures. So my room, it's pretty much about like mid 70s. On the cool end is probably like 65 degrees. Every species that I keep are at the same, the same temperature wise. But being that I'm learning I'm struggling to breed Arrhenius cave geckos, or I believe the Vietnamese, Ron has told me that I need to bump up the temperatures. So different islands, or different requirements, or different locales from these cave geckos the temperatures vary, or humidity varies. So that's what I'm trying to master right now.
Okay. Have you been going on iNat and kind of checking out everything and looking at the weather apps, seeing what their temperatures are over there?
Not necessarily. So what the advice that Ron tells me is that usually summertime or springtime is kind of similar to what we experience here in New York. So it's just a waiting game, pretty much.
Yeah. I lived in Japan for like 3 years, and that shit feels like the East Coast. Like I got folks that my mom's side of the family's from Jersey, so going to Jersey, during the summers and stuff like that. So it's real humid. It's not crazy hot, but you can feel it just because the humidity's much higher than the summer over in Japan. And yeah,
I'm
so
jealous.
I think you might. So Ron's, he's hitting those, pretty on.
Yeah.
And you got some?
I mean, I got a million questions, but
Go ahead, bust them out, man.
how difficult do you find? How different, rather, do you find species to species? Is it more than just the temperatures? Do you notice different habits? I mean, can you tell that they evolved from one subspecies? Or like, how drastically different are all the 6 different species that you keep?
Honestly, I can say pretty much appearance wise, they're extremely different. Some, at least like the Goniosaurus louis, are a larger breed or a larger species of cave gecko. They're very active. At least all my cave geckos are extremely active at night. They're pretty much hiding during the day, or if they do come out, they're just within the foliage. Um, I guess that's pretty much all I can say for now because all of my cave geckos are in tubs, so it's not like I have any bioactive setups to like actually notice like any change in behavior and stuff. But yeah.
Do they eat all the same diets? Do they all have like eating habits?
So I've tried mealworms, I've tried waxworms, and that was during like my beginning journey as a hobbyist, and it didn't really work. So I'm just sticking to crickets, and I supplement my crickets with rapashi, and it's been working with me.
Yeah,
it works.
You ever
knocks me
so
back.
You ever
echo food?
You ever see them like try to because you said you got isopods in there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You ever see them trying to forage and trying to dig for those isopods? Like they see them go into the dirt, they start trying to dig for them and look.
Actually, they're just. I don't handle my cave geckos, so as soon as like if I'm doing maintenance or if I'm checking for eggs, they usually just like scatter or try to hide or run away.
Yeah. Yeah, you need to get some cameras in there so you can.
I know. Hopefully, when I move, that's like on my bucket list. Like, I really want to just like pimp out my room and have like all this extravagant, enclosures and stuff like that, or try to replicate.
I think that's every herper's dream.
a lot of glass to clean.
Yeah, I know the struggle with that.
So, other than the show, what made you gravitate towards the cave geckos instead of like leopard geckos? Was it just the one that you saw? Did you just love the color of them and that just made you stick with that genus instead of going to like geckos?
So pretty much during my beginning years as a hobbyist, I was into amphibians, and I was in love with axolotls. I was breeding axolotls, and all of a sudden, one of my friends who gave me a hybrid, she was like, I have 3 leopard geckos, and they're in really bad shape, and I feel like you can take them on. Do you want them? So I ended up adopting them, and this was before I ended up getting cave geckos. And I found their husbandry and their care was like super easy. So I'm like, okay, let me branch out to something else. And at the time, my best friend, he was getting into green tree pythons, and he fell in love with leaf tail geckos. And I was like, let me do my own thing. Let me get into caves. And that's that.
Awesome. Is there any species of like cave geckos that you really, really want to get? Like, do you have any like bucket list genus or subspecies that you're on the hunt for?
At the moment, just Orientalis or Japanese cave geckos. Those are my favorite ones. It's just so hard. It's so hard to get them.
Have you successfully bred any of them yet? Have you gotten any of your cave geckos to breed?
Yeah, actually 4 years ago. Excuse me. 4 years ago, I got into the Chinese cave gecko first, and ironically, I started having. I guess it was during COVID, and we was getting stimulus checks and stuff like that, and I was just blowing.
Yeah.
I was just blowing my money away. Like
No,
me and my best friend,
trust me, you ain't the only one. Trust me.
me and my best friend also, we were, getting into green tree pythons, and we're, going half and half, and yeah, it's just, yeah.
That's cool. What species is this on the screen right
That
here?
is that is the Goniasaurus orientalis, or Japanese cave gecko. That's, I
Oh, really?
believe, is female.
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought they were purple. I thought they were purple and yellow.
It depends on the species. So the
Yeah.
one that you're referring to is the Chinese cave gecko, which are pretty much the standard, and that's
That's
the
how
one
cool.
that's gaining.
I thought they
Yeah.
all were.
No, no, no. This is my favorite one. That's my female.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
There we go.
Hey,
She's
Jay, which
stubborn.
ones are those? Just
What?
Chinese
Which ones?
geckos? He has just Chinese geckos, right? Because his are purple, I think.
Whose?
Wally's.
Wally's? I can't remember what Wally has.
Huh. That's cool, man. I never knew what those eyes like that. The orange. That's crazy.
Oh, that's actually a red-eyed crocodile skink. But go up. Yeah,
That one?
I'm working on
Yeah.
breeding those again.
Nice.
Nice. So
Okay.
with the babies, and so are you keeping them the same as your adults, or like I'm guessing you're probably putting them in a smaller tub, right?
Yeah. So pretty much
Yeah.
after they're hatched, I have little miniature tubs, and I have them all individually in separate tubs because I'm trying to prevent any fighting for food and stuff like that, and dominance. So
Yeah.
everyone is pretty much in the same husbandry requirements. I have a hide, leaf foliage, moss, and I'm misting at least every 3 days or so. Yeah,
Right.
those are my little babies.
Nice. So how long? So do you keep them together for a little bit before you separate them, or
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
separate them from the go?
So as soon as I start noticing that they are gaining or growing at a certain
Mhm.
pace, I start to separate.
Okay.
So here, yeah, the one that's on the left, or my left, that I'm seeing, that's the more dominant one. So
Okay.
he beats his sibling a lot.
Are they all
Nice.
born with white tails like that?
Yeah, yeah. Usually
That
the splotches, you see like where the orangey splotches are, they usually expand. So right now they kind of look like bands, but as they mature, they
Oh.
they grow more.
Do they have morphs? Do these guys come in different color morphs?
Not that I'm aware of. Actually, with the Japanese
I was gonna
cave
ask you.
geckos, I'm starting to notice that there's individuals or breeders that have a pink coloring. So I'm not sure where they're getting it from, but I'm interested in that.
I was gonna ask you, have you heard any of that cave gecko drama that's been going on for like the past few, like 4 or 5 months?
Yeah, it's ironic because at the end of the day, um, I'm pretty much an introvert. I don't really
Yeah.
socialize. I have a small circle of friends, and my two main connects would be Richie and Ron. And as soon as I started noticing that whole cave gecko kid drama, I'm like,
Yeah.
yo, at first I was cool with him, but then when I started to see that he was, having issues with Richie, I'm like, yeah, I'm not picking sides because at the end of the day, that's my boy, and I'm not gonna burn bridges there. So
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
ended up deleting me on Instagram, and I didn't do anything to him. I'm just,
No.
a regular keeper, so I just decided just to
Yeah.
block them. I don't need the drama.
That's all you can do.
Yeah.
Because I saw it, because I actually saw when Ron actually posted under his thing, because he saw it and saw how much he wanted for him, and Ron was like, "Are you effing kidding me?" I was like, "Yo."
I'd like the rest of the out here. I got no idea what's even happening.
So this dude, the cave gecko kid, right? He said he produced like the world's first. It was a morph called Lynx, which was cool. Like it just changed the banding. That was all it really did. And I was like, all right, that's cool. But then he put it out on like morph markets. He wanted like $7,000 for it or something.
Higher than $7,000.
Well, how much was that? Like, what was it, like 9 or 10?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then so people started coming down, and the next you know, it.
Time out. Listen. He ended up posting like a giveaway for his links, and I got involved into tagging a lot of accounts on his page, and I'm over here thinking that I'm gonna win it because I have the most tags there, and I didn't win. I found it bogus. So
yeah. No, I don't really do too much of those. Like every now and then, if it's something I like, I might get up on that stuff. But
like all right, man, I won $100 last month. $100.
Yeah. Like something like that. Yeah, cool. But most of the time, it's people are like, oh, I'm going to give away a crested gecko. It's like, all right, cool. But I don't need any. Like $100, I'll take that 100. Before I take a gecko.
Wasn't bark, man. Needed that.
For real. But yeah, so oh boy, I guess started kind of getting in it with that Dakota Burks, and then Dakota kind of brought Richie into it, and Josh's Frogs, and all kinds of stuff. That's why I was like, man, that sounds like some drama that I don't want to be in.
But, it never ends. It never ends.
No. So this is like my second favorite cave gecko right here. Is the Goniasaurus luai. It's a lot bigger, so I like the bigger geckos, and
these
just
are
like a.
These are really active. I was lucky enough to get a pair, and at the time they were too young to sex. And I recently went into one of my tubs, and I'm just like, let me check to see if I have any females. And ironically, those two individuals were a pair. But I haven't been successful in breeding that one yet. So hopefully in the next 2 years I could get something from them. But it's kind of hard.
Are they a lot slower to like sexually mature? Or are they kind of like your standard geckos? How long does it take?
Maybe about like 3 years or so.
Really?
The individuals that I have now, they're not sexually mature yet. Although they are big, but not as big as my adult female that I have.
Yeah. Do they? So do the males have those pronounced hemipenes, or do you have to like look for pores with them?
Usually you can just see a bulge.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Do they have the big bulge like the rest of them?
Yeah.
No. Yeah, I tend to try to stay with stuff like that. I was like, all right, I know you got balls, so I know you're a male. The ones you got to look for the little dots, like when I have my toke, you're like, all right, look at pores because they never drop bulges. So it's like, all right, man, I'm kind of done with these.
At least with these guys, they're easy to sex.
Yeah,
like day geckos don't show physical either.
Yeah. But some day geckos are like sexual, or they're sexually dimorphic. So you can tell like the Lacodalis williamsi, like electro blues. Males are always blue. Females are usually green, almost grayish. So it's a little bit easier to tell with them. But so can you kind of go over your whole breeding strategy, or like go over your breeding with the geckos? Like kind of like when do you start roommate, or do you put them in roommation since they're such a cool species?
So since I'm still new to this, and since I've gotten my cave geckos, that all of them are just paired up in tubs. I don't remove the male, and there's no fighting or no tail drops from my experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just, every time that I'm doing maintenance, or if I want to add more moss or add more substrate to my tubs, um, usually I just dig around for eggs, and I'm just lucky.
Said you also got carpets,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
That's so dope. I love those things,
That
man.
one
So
that one was produced by my boy Anthony. Um what's his Instagram? Tony Jerome on Facebook.
okay,
Selective Scales, I
gotcha.
believe.
Okay,
Yeah. He
so with
bred this
having,
one. Sorry. He's
no,
bred this one,
go ahead.
and he's bred my Carpandro, my yellow one.
Okay, I'm gonna have to check
Yeah.
that one out too. So with keeping different reptiles, like, because that's probably a little bit more warmer than your yeah, the geckos. So how are you able to keep both of them? You keep them all in one room or in two separate rooms?
Actually, I keep them all. Everyone is in one room at the
Yeah.
moment.
So do you have to do anything different to kind of make sure all their parameters are good?
Um, I actually keep my snakes on one side of the room and then my cave geckos on the opposite end.
Okay, cool. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's I keep my like all my chihuahuas and stuff in one room, and then I keep my all my Aussie stuff in another room, just because it gets way too hot.
Yeah.
Like if I go in my room, because they're in my room, the Aussies, it's like by like man 90 degrees in there, just with all the lights on. And I was like, yeah, I think we did our first podcast. I was in my room, I was sweating a storm. I was like, yeah, now we ain't doing this no more. So I'm going to what's it called? Go to the new cow rooms where I can stay cool.
I mean,
So
it's
how long you been in the snakes?
whatever, you know. I mean, the
Um,
temperature.
so with snakes, I'm still learning. Um,
Yeah.
3 years. Well, was it 3 years? Maybe 4 years ago, I decided to get my. I decided to get my first carpet python by Anthony Jerome, Selective
Mm-hmm.
Scales, and her name was Lilith, and she was a fucking asshole. She was a bitch. And I'm new to snakes, and I'm scared to get bitten and stuff like that. And she passed away, unfortunately.
Damn.
And yeah, I ended up feeding her a quail, and it's like further down my timeline on my Instagram. All of a sudden, I started seeing odd behavior with her, and she started doing like alligator death rolls or just like turning and stuff like that. And I started to
Mm-hmm.
panic. I went to a vet. They gave me antibiotics. Um, she started regurgitating like brown substance, but the antibiotics didn't help, and she passed away. I couldn't afford to do a necropsy, so I ended up making a wet specimen out of her.
Okay.
Um, After Lilith, I ended up getting my Carpandro with my best friend. And
Mm-hmm.
from then on, I was a little bit more comfortable because the individual that Anthony gave me or had me purchase, excuse me, um, she was really nice and she was really handleable. And I just fell in love with her. And then from then on, I was into green tree pythons with my best friend Oso, and he's doing his own thing, and I'll help and split funds getting individuals there, and yeah, I've just been growing, learning, getting advice
Ew.
from certain people in the hobby, and I'm still mastering how to mess with temperatures because I know some individuals do like a night and day gradient and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. So I'm still learning how to do that. And yeah,
Nice.
How hard do you find keeping the green tree pythons? Do you find it hard? I literally, they're probably my favorite snake. I don't have them because they scare the shit out of me. Well, that and my wife, she'll kill the shit out of me. But I've always been nervous about getting them for how finicky they are. Do you think do you find it pretty easy, or is it complicated?
So I don't personally keep them with me. My best friend has all of the green tree pythons. Um, at least from when I stop by and view his enclosures and how he builds his stuff, it looks rather easy. It's the
Really?
breeding part that's hard, at least from what he tells me.
Okay.
I know that when he pairs them up, sometimes it's a hit and miss. Sometimes females do develop follicles and they do end up laying, and sometimes they're not successful. It's a trial and error, but they seem easy. I feel that with green tree pythons, it's kind of a basic snake for me, only for the simple fact is that everyone has green tree pythons, and for me, I just want to be an individual that's not grouped in
Yeah.
with
Trust me,
those
I feel the
people.
same way.
I feel like they're overrated. There you go. I'm not gonna say basic because they are beautiful, but it's just
Shots are fired.
overrated for me.
Oh, she's on the outskirts. She's got the tall kept stuff. That's cool.
Yeah, that's what's up. I like hearing that stuff.
People to do this stuff. Stop doing the same thing the next man's doing. Go on your own venture.
Yeah.
That's me pretty much.
So with incubating eggs, is it just regular room temp, or are you actually using an incubator for them? And how long does it usually take that for them to hatch?
So I purchased like this little. I feel like I'm a noob. This little incubator that's like probably like $8 on Amazon, and it's like a little plastic container. Give me 1 second. Let me show you.
All right.
So I purchased this. It's like $8, and I have, I think, what is it called? Vermiculite.
Vermiculite
on the bottom. Yeah, and I misted it a little bit, and I just keep them room temperature. At the moment, I have 2, 4, 6, 8 eggs. 2 from my Benwanglius pair, and then 2 from my Chinese pair. So I'm expecting 2 more sets of eggs in a couple of days. And from my knowledge, it takes about 80 days average. The max maybe 100 days for them to hatch. So usually, sometimes I'm impatient and I'm just taking like a little flashlight to candlelight and see like the development, stuff like that, and then I just put them away.
Yeah, I think we all do that too. Like I get my little flashlight on my phone, like, all right, make sure I got some in here. You've been in here for like 80 days now. Are you good? You good? Yeah. Only things I can't really do that with my Stropharis because like the eggs are like this tiny, so it's really hard to see anything in there until it's almost time for them to pop.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much for all the cave geckos. It's generally around that 80 to 100 day mark.
Yeah, at least from my experience.
Nice. That's always good to know when you, like I said, you keep that one species, and so you pretty much are trying to get everything down pat, and it helps that they are almost pretty much the same with the care to the incubation to the babies and everything else. It's almost streamlined. But let's see. I said,
eggs hard shelled, or the cave gecko's eggs hard, or are they soft like a crested gecko egg almost?
I don't have experience with crested gecko eggs, but I wouldn't necessarily say that they're super hard. They're kind of like soft shelled in a sense. To me, they kind of feel like little grapes.
All right, cool.
That's the best that I can describe.
Yeah, all mine are pretty like Cresties. They're pretty soft, right?
Same thing. Yeah, they're not like calcified from what I hear like a egg is.
Yeah, I know all mine are pretty calcified. Even like the Chihuahuas, they're calcified. show if they're calcified. The only ones that probably might be softer could be Cerdodactylus whenever they breed.
So the cave geckos, they bury their eggs then?
Yeah, they do. They do.
Do you have to get? Are you giving them an additional like lay box to put their eggs in, or are they just putting it straight into that
Everything
substrate?
is straight into the tubs that I have them in. Usually they pretty much bury the eggs under the coconut hides. So whenever I'm doing maintenance, I just let me peek and check to see if they're there. And yeah,
yeah,
I got lucky.
there you go. So have you ever had any experiences of like the isopods trying to get up on them or anything?
No, not from my experience.
Yeah.
They really don't pay them much attention. At least from my experience. The babies, no issues. Adults, they're just, in their own little hides and stuff. Just chilling.
Okay. Nice. What kind of isopods are you using?
Orange.
Okay.
Orange.
Nice. Yeah, I got those.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
Yeah, I do the same thing. I let them. I keep all the geckos that are in bins or in like a bioactive crate too. And they all got isopods. Every single one of them's got dwarf whites, dwarf purples, panda kings, the dairy cows. They lay right in there, right in the substrate, and I pile one corner up like a little bit more. So when I pick the bins up, I could just look on the bottom and tell if the eggs are in there. And I just, boom, pull the eggs out. I never had one get eaten or anything either.
Yeah, so how many these Orientalis, how many have you produced already since you've had them?
So, my first purchase was from Richie. So I'm still a noob. So, I was able to produce 2 generations of Orientalis, and the second generation I have here, which is this one.
Oh, yeah. So are you hoarding yours as well?
At the moment, I'm trying to breed with my female, but she's just really stubborn, especially with this new male that I purchased from Sundown Reptiles. She's just real stubborn.
I didn't even know he had cave geckos.
Yeah.
Nice. So if you were to like build out your own like enclosure for them, how would you do it?
Honestly, I wouldn't even recommend putting them in bioactives because, at least from my experience, they've been successful with high humidity. And with exoterras, it's kind of hard to maintain humidity there, especially if they have like screen tops and stuff like that.
Yeah. So would you recommend PVC?
PVC? I've tried PVC before, and it didn't help. It dried up way too fast. Yeah.
Yeah. You probably need like a mist system in there. Like daily, probably a couple times a day or something. Yeah. Yeah, because right now, like I said, I got pretty much all PVC right now with all mine, and like my Chihuahuas stay around in between sprays. It probably stays around 60% inside their things, and then once I spray them, it bumps up to like 100 for like a day or two, and then.
That's not bad for Arizona, Jay. That's good.
Yeah. That's why I have PVC, so I can maintain that humidity and like not have everything like in bins except for babies. Like all my breeders, they're all in PVC enclosures. It's just a matter of restricting just a little bit of airflow, but I still have like cross air ventilation going, and just so I can cycle air in and out. I just don't have like the big old open screen top on the top, like how all the regular enclosures are. It's all solid, exception of I have holes on the big old like 2-inch diameter holes on each side and in the back, just so I could get some air circulating both ways. But yeah, it stays pretty humid in there for them. So I do have to let mine dry out.
These terrariums, if you see my story on Instagram today, man, you see those glass terrariums? They got a built-in fogger in them. It's a glass terrarium, and it's got a little reservoir in the back. And it's got a fogger in it. You just add water to it, and the whole damn thing it's like individual fogger built into the terrarium.
Oh damn, who did that one?
Orchids, glass top and everything. They make orchids for plants.
Nice, nice. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
cool.
with you having this degree, um, what's your goals with that? Like, are you gonna keep work? Are you gonna stay? Are you working at a veterinary spot right now, or are
Actually,
you?
I am. Um,
Yeah,
my close friend Justin, he hooked me up with a job. I actually made a year on Friday as a veterinary
Right.
nice.
assistant.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Um, I was in school at Unity Environmental University. My major is animal health and behavior. Um, I was venting online. I usually sometimes I go on live, and at the time I applied for the Bronx Zoo, and I was in the process of getting another interview, and unfortunately they denied me because
Mm.
they said that self-taught wasn't experienced for them. So I was crying on live, and I'm just like, I don't know what to do, but it looks like I'm just gonna just stay focused on finishing school and then maybe look for an internship, or to try to get some type of experience so I can reapply. And yeah, Justin gave me the opportunity to work at a veterinary hospital, and it's with domesticated animals, well, cats and dogs.
Yeah,
And it's not my cup of tea because I want to explore reptile care and husbandry, and what is what is considered proper husbandry and captivity in regards to all
yeah.
animals. So I recently graduated, actually 2 months ago. I got my degree,
Congrats,
and
congrats on that too.
my goal, thank you, my goal is to apply what I know with the domesticated animals to reptiles. What kind of medicines to use, what kind of illnesses should I spot, what is proper husbandry and captivity, what can we improve
Yeah,
there. And I know that in the hobby it's male dominated, and we have egos and stuff like that, and everybody wants to be considered right with how they keep their animals. And I think when it comes to the hobby itself, I think that everyone has their own experience or can contribute to the field in regards to what is
yeah,
proper
definitely.
husbandry, what is adequate dietary, um, what is proper enrichments for snakes and geckos and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So for the Bronx Zoo, what were you trying to go for?
Reptile room.
Oh,
Straight up
shit,
reptile
shit.
room.
Hey, trust me, I try to get it on their nutrition side, just chopping up food and everything, and hoping I can get in to start working with the keepers, so I can get into that little reptile room as well. It's like it didn't work, but
If
I
I
was
can
like,
scoop poop, I'm good with doing that, but it's all about networking. That's what I noticed.
oh yeah,
When it comes
yeah,
to
yeah, definitely,
applying to any type of job, you have to network. So
yeah,
hopefully I can get that opportunity again. I just,
yeah,
Javon,
definitely,
don't quit. Don't quit trying. You'll
I'm
get
not,
it.
I'm not
oh
Yeah.
yeah, for
actually,
sure,
Oh, you may not want to by the time you're done. You may say, "Go, be done with you. You put yourself through nothing. Why the hell should you give them everything you've learned along the way, man? Tell them to go kick rocks.
yeah.
They can pay you to consult as a consultant to give them information on how to take care of this shit."
Mm-hmm.
So, so at your vet hospital, do they work with any reptiles? Are they is your the vet over there? Is he pretty familiar with them, or are you trying to help him out a little bit more?
So when it comes to reptiles in general, there's not a lot of people or veterinaries that work with exotic reptiles. Now, I'm kind of lucky because I work with my favorite vet. His name is Dr. Joe, and he's from India, and he's he's worked with king cobras in India, elephants and stuff, tigers. He's raised them, and I work with him.
That's my
So
kind
if
of
I
guy.
have any questions in regards to like any illnesses that I'm spotting, or stuck shed incidents, he's the person I go to. And yeah, I'm
You may
lucky in
want to,
that regards.
he could expand his business, and have you lead up the exotic pet department.
he's
That's an awesome
actually
Right.
he's actually pushing me into getting excuse me. He's actually pushing me into getting licensed as a technician. So
Nice.
I'm not gonna stay stuck just because I graduated. Right now I'm
Yeah.
enjoying my summer, and as soon as the fall hits, I'm considering going back to school at least to get my license. And then
Do
hopefully
it.
I can apply that to the zoo.
So you could be a vet tech.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was this close to actually going to school for that. Like literally, like probably in 2018, I was going to school to actually be a vet assistant. I was just doing online. I was working in Africa. Didn't really have much to do. We were just chilling, and so I started doing it. Started taking all my classes, and then I just reached out to the school. I was like, "Hey, will this transfer over to a vet tech if I wanted to do that?" Oh yeah, sure. Here, let's transfer. Let's do it now. Let's drop all your classes. I was like, "Oh, hold up, pump the brakes." So they dropped all my classes. Like, you know what? I'm good now. You guys just messed up my whole flow. So, but yeah, I wanted to try to do that, but then like I said, I got 3 kids and I can't really start all the way back on the bottom. Like if I was younger, I probably would have done it, but it would have been too hard not doing that now.
What does it take as far as schooling's concerned? Do you need more credits, or is it an actual degree? Towards a degree, but is it like a bachelor's or a?
I think it's an associate's, right?
From my
Or
understanding, and where I reside, um, I work in New Jersey, so their requirements is different. I work under PECO or VECO, the hospital there, and they
yeah,
do have Penn Foster, which the company itself they offer to pay full tuition. The downside to that is that you would have to stay employed for 2 years
yeah,
in order
yeah.
to get that um get the tuition. But I'm still doing my research with Penn Foster because they have two
That's what I was
internships.
going through. Yeah,
They have two internships. One internship will be on your second semester. It's I believe 200 hours working with cats and dogs, and then the last internship would be on your final semester, and you would have to work with goats, horses, pigs.
yeah.
And yeah, it's kind of hard because being that I live in New York, it's just we don't have farms. So
Oh,
I'm
you gotta drive far for that.
yeah, and right now I don't have a car.
Oh damn, yeah. No Uber for that one, right?
Yeah, no.
They used to have that little dude ranch, that little horse ranch right next to the Bronx Zoo, where they always had the horse stables.
Yeah. I actually like if I do consider doing Penn Foster, I'm actually going to reach out to the Bronx Zoo and see if they offer internship there. And if they tell me yes, then I'll do it.
That's a good way to
There you
get your
go.
foot in the door.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. Yep. So let me ask you something. Um, if like I said, money wasn't an option, what would be like your next go-to project?
My boegas.
Your boegas?
Yeah, my mangroves.
Which ones do you like? Because
Um
I've seen a lot of them, and damn, I'm like you. I love those boegas. I like that black and yellow.
um my two favorite would be Cyanea, the green cat-eyed
Mm-hmm.
snake, and Divergence.
Okay.
So I actually have an individual that's coming in next week, I believe. Another male. So I have a young female that I've recently purchased. She's feeding on pinks. I have a juvenile male. He's on small quails. And this individual is also a male, and he looks like he's on hopper mice.
Nice.
And my divergence I got from Patrick Holmes. She's
Oh,
captive
okay,
born
I
and
know.
bred from him.
Yeah.
And at the moment, she's staying with my best friend because I don't have room right now. So she's doing
Struggle we all
excellent.
got.
I heard that she's feisty, so I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
um, I have Gemma, the black cat-eyed snake, and
Okay.
I have a captive bred male, and he's an asshole. And a wild caught female that I've got from Hamburg, which is her right there.
This
She's
one?
no, that's Nicorceps, Boiga
Okay.
Nicorceps. If you
Yeah.
scroll up again, there you
This
go.
one?
That's my female. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
that's Dahlia. She's wild
Nice.
caught, but she's actually very handleable. She doesn't strike at
Yeah.
me at all. With her, I'm having issues with stuck shed. So these
Okay.
guys get dehydrated very easily. With her, for some apparent reason, she just doesn't use her enrichments to shed properly. So
Okay.
lately, I've been keeping a spare tub and having her soak for at least an hour. And if she needs assistance with shedding, I help with shedding there.
Okay. So with so with you getting wild caughts, what's your quarantine process like?
I keep them far away from my room. I'm
There you
not
go.
spreading any type
Yeah.
of
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
infectious diseases with my current livestock. Usually I'm
Yeah. Yeah.
quarantining in the living room.
Yeah. How long? How long's your quarantine time?
At
Is
least
it
two
just
months.
okay?
Two
Yeah.
months.
I'll say, does it vary per animal and make sure that
No,
do
everyone gets
you?
the 2 months.
Okay. All right.
Gotta
So
maintain,
when
like,
you
make sure that they're eating properly, make sure
yeah.
that, I'm not noticing any illnesses on the skin and stuff like that before I transfer
Yeah.
them over to my room.
Okay. Are you automatically taking them to the vet, or do you wait to see if there's anything really going on before you
I actually
decide to take them
wait.
to the vet? Okay.
The
Yeah.
the
Because I know it
thing
can
is
make some
that
more stress.
the thing is that in where I'm located, we don't
Right.
have exotic um
Okay.
veterinary
Yeah.
practices. So the one that we do have is extremely expensive. It's
They
pretty
all
much
are.
$150 just to be put on the wait list, and then
Hmm.
any additional services, um, it's pricey. But
Yeah. Have you went on to arab.org?
excuse me,
Have you ever went on to arab.org?
no, I've never heard of that
So it's
actually.
a so it's a for vets and vet technicians that do continuing education in reptiles. And then if you put like your zip code in there or something, it'll pop up like who's closest to you. But it's a good resource to have as well. Because I can pull it
I'll
up.
definitely need to write that down.
Yeah,
Oh, this is cool.
yeah, yeah. So like if you go in there and then you can put your stuff, put your info in, not your, like where you live, and like whatever your radius you want to go to, and if there's anybody in there that's part of this association, they'll be on there and you can be able to contact them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely a good site to go to, and whenever you got stuff like that wild caught that you can't where you're at, like people don't have those certifications.
What
Hmm.
about you? Like, when you guys are bringing in any new geckos or snakes, what is your quarantine process?
For me, like I said, I got a couple rooms, so they go in a room with no animals, and then they'll stay there for about probably like 90 days or so. Make sure poops look good, make sure it's solid, not runny. Said I haven't had any wild caughts. but I plan on starting to try to get some in because I want to work with Certidactylus, and there's not a lot of Certidactylus in the U.S., so it's a lot of wild caught stuff that always comes in. So there's a couple reptile vets out here that can help me out. I've already been in contact with them, so they're like, yeah, once you start getting your stuff in, just bring them on in. We'll do if you feel that like there's anything going on, we could go ahead and get some tests going, and we can go from there.
I've only had one or two wild caughts. I just keep them in another room. I mean, I as a kid growing up, I mean, in the 80s, you had to treat everything like it was wild caught, so quarantine was, pretty much the same as it is today. If you get something you're just not even sure about, just keep it away from anything you don't want to catch it. We didn't have like Panicure and stuff back then, but today I keep it just to have on hand. I mean, I'm super observant. Like I hate to sound weird, but I'm staring at the poop. Like I look at the poop, I want to see if there's things moving in it. I want to see if there's blood in it. I want to see everything about it. I mean, I study these things like it was a textbook and an exam, for getting ready for an exam. But just the sheer the nerve me, I just stay away from it. I'd rather not with what I'm doing deal with anything wild caught. If I got the choice, there's a few species I want that I may not have much of an option, then I deal with it accordingly. But I would definitely just keep them in another room personally. I mean, I know people that keep them in the same room. They're just like, don't cross-contaminate this. Just have a designated pair of tongs, a designated this, a designated that. I'm the last one to tell anybody what's right and what's wrong. If that's what works for them and they could keep their collection from getting sick, that's cool. It's just not what I'm about to do. But it's always interesting. I always find it to be interesting. I mean, as crazy as it sounds, but how parasites travel, how these diseases move, it's kind of like the COVID thing. All these documentaries came out about, airborne diseases and germs and parasites and bacterias. I mean, it's a whole other world, man. It's a pretty crazy world.
Yeah.
Pandemics and plagues. Mankind has been dealing with them since there's been mankind. There's been, pandemics, if you will.
All right. So if you kind of sum up the cave geckos, right? Give us like 3 like essentials that someone would need to like get started with cave geckos. What are like some of the 3 tips that you would give them?
Usually I would say start off with a Tupperware for proper humidity, because tubs, at least from my experience, they hold a lot of humidity. Provide lots of hides would be my second thing, and foliage as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's about it. It's, to me, I believe like they're like the most easiest species to work with. It's just breeding is a challenge.
Okay. What like what's like your humidity like? What's the percentage that you usually try to aim for?
Usually between like 75, 80.
Okay. Yeah. And no dry out periods, just is constant like that, or do you have like ups and downs, some flows?
It's ups and downs.
Okay.
Around the summertime, at least where I'm located, it's my room is the hottest.
It's hella
room.
humid. Yeah.
It's the hottest room in the house. So I'm usually misting every 2 days. But once I plug in my AC, everything seems fine. So yeah.
Nice. All right. Cool. So where can go ahead?
I was going to say, what's something, if you could give zookeepers a piece of advice, like what's something now that you wish you knew when you first started keeping these animals? Like what's one of the biggest things you learned?
One of the biggest things that I've learned, looking back, I was very impulsive. I used to just get animals just to get them. I didn't do my research. If I just liked the way they looked, oh, okay, I want a Pac-Man frog. Oh, okay, look, I want a chameleon. And I didn't do research on them. And usually when you're impulse buying, the animal suffers because you're not providing the proper care, the proper lighting, the proper temperature, and that's the
Right.
downfall with them. They die.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's my best advice before getting into reptiles, or if you want to get into specific species of reptiles, read about them. Read about
Yeah.
the requirements, read about their location, learn about enrichment, how to provide certain enrichments to that's necessary for snakes. Notice their behaviors, long tongue strokes or fast tongue strokes or milky eyes if you're seeing that they're in shed. Um yeah, just a lot of research.
Great advice. It's great
Yep.
advice. You hear it enough.
Yeah.
With this
So
easy to find information, you would think people would do it. And it's almost people start asking their questions once they go to the reptile show and come home with something new. Now they want to, what do I do with this? What do I do with that? I mean, a lot of these questions
yeah.
already
You
been
want to
that
know
way.
what's funny? You want to know what's funny that I've learned, at least from my vet, Dr. Joe? He says a lot of the reasons why reptiles get sick in captivity is due to poor husbandry. So if you can't master
Makes sense.
their living requirements, of course you're gonna have issues where there's mouth rot due to too much humidity and stuff like that, or fungus and stuff. So you have to pretty much research where they're from, what are the temperatures, what are the humidity requirements. Um, that's about it.
Right.
Awesome.
So
Fact. I mean, it's like I said, I've been keeping reptiles for 35 years. It's a fact.
Mm.
Most things other than parasites and diseases animals come in with, 90% of the stuff I've ever seen go wrong with people is because you're keeping it like shit. Just you don't understand. It's the things you can't see, the bacteria from things rolling in their crap, or the tank being too hot and the snake's trying to get out and they're rubbing, or I mean, it's a fact. Husbandry issues lead to a huge, I don't have an exact statistic, but a huge percentage of shit going wrong with reptiles.
right.
Good information.
Simple as just opening up the web browser and start typing in names. Like, all right, boom. Now, how do you take care of it? Boom. You start going to forums. You start talking to people. You start networking. Then that's how you start learning. Like, I knew nothing about like Cervacus besides they look cool shit. And next thing you know, I start talking to certain people. They start giving me little bits and pieces. Like, this is how I do it. Talk to the other person. This is how I do it. All right, cool. Then I start finding things. I found a book for like lizards of India. Downloaded it. Boom, got that. So now I know where they're actually from, like what region they are, what close to what little lake or whatever it is, and it's just that simple. And some people just don't want to do that, and it blows my mind that they want to get
Ignorance.
the reptile. Yeah, they want to get the reptile, then ask questions instead of let me ask these questions before I go and get this reptile. Can I even take care of it? It it blows my mind every time. Like you be on Facebook or something on one of the reptile groups due to unfortunate circumstances. I can't take care of this thing. Well, because you didn't do your research. That sulcata that you bought as a little baby is now 100 pounds. Yeah, sorry. You should have done that research. I don't feel sorry for you.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
I really wanted to work with actually tree monitors, but
Yeah.
the more that I'm seeing, they're gaining popularity. But the more that I'm
So,
seeing people who keep them, it's a lot of requirements when it comes to
yep.
these type
Yeah.
of lizards. You have to have
See, I
proper
should know. They're
temperatures.
intelligent,
Yeah, yeah.
and that's what some people can't deal with. Like, no, it's not just going to be like every other reptile. That thing is intelligent. It will. You have to earn its respect. You have to
Mhm.
make sure everything's dialed in. Otherwise, they're just not gonna. They're not gonna tolerate it. I say, are you close to what's his name? Father Blue? You know him?
Not necessarily. We follow each other on
Yeah,
Instagram, but I do watch his posts.
yeah.
I actually congratulated him on his babies from his I believe Blue Tree
It's
monitors.
blue. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I
Because I think that's
congratulated
primarily
him.
that's what he works with is blues. But
That's
yeah, his
actually the
cages
one.
are amazing.
Yeah, actually, that's my favorite tree monitor is the blue one because they're just so
Blues,
rare.
yeah,
They're different. I love the blues for some apparent reason.
yeah,
Tucson got them all. Tucson got all of them.
yeah,
I think he's bred
yeah,
all of them.
yeah. But it's just like if you looked at Father Blues, like his enclosures, like he goes like almost above and beyond,
Yeah,
and I mean,
they're
it's great.
huge.
Like I wish I could do that stuff, but I was like, unfortunately, I don't got a basement where I could do that.
I know.
I'm about to
I'm in the
get
same
on them.
boat. I'm like, yo, I want a tree monitor so bad, but I just right now I just can't do it. I don't want to
Yeah,
impulse buy something and that I don't have the space for it because the animal is gonna suffer.
right.
So
Yeah,
I can hold out.
that's fact right there.
I
Yeah,
can't
that's
too
all.
this checks.
So I do have a question for you guys. So what
Yeah.
would be your dream reptile for you to keep?
Oh,
Your
Mine's
dream.
easy. What's yours, Jay? I'll go to Komodo.
mine? Yeah, no, I'm not gonna go crazy
Here's
big.
a
Like,
house. I had all that other big shit.
oh man, me? Let's see. I mean, like I said, I'm so infatuated with Abronias that that'd probably be my dream reptile. I love Abronias. Like they're just beautiful. They look like dragons. They have some different colors. You keep them nice and cool. There's just something about their looks that get me. So it would actually be an Abronia just because maybe it's just because I live in Arizona and I don't think I could keep one here. But I mean, someone's already proved me wrong because uh, the guy in Tucson's keeping them. But that would be like my dream right there. Like I'm not a let me go get that New Zealand green gecko or that orange gecko. Like no, I'm a simple person and and there's just certain features I like on certain things and Abronias I have been probably fascinated with the longest.
You should be breeding them then.
Dude, that's money. And it's not money, it's can I really do it? Like I said, I live in Arizona. They need to be kept pretty cool. That means my AC bill's gonna be like 300, 400, 500 a month.
There's a
Can't
well.
do
There's
that.
they might not. You can make tank chillers. They're for real.
No, like I said, we're gonna have that conversation when in a few weeks. So that's gonna
Huh?
be part of that.
Okay. What was your
Yeah.
dream, man?
Mine,
Yeah.
a
What
Bolin's
rep?
python.
Yeah.
Okay.
MC. Now
Nice.
you.
That's on my
Now,
bucket list.
Yeah.
yeah. You
I
ain't
like
lying.
it.
That
I like the iridescence. So no.
that
Yep.
and the
Or not.
earless monitor.
Oh,
Yeah.
the
I think
Borneo.
that's yeah.
Yeah, the Borneo. Yeah.
They're starting
Those
to take a little bit, man. I seen like
Yeah.
one person like
I've seen a
four,
few of them.
and it was like this like holy grail. Oh, how the hell did you get them thing? So I know about four or five different people that got them now.
Oh yeah, yeah. I always see them at the shows. Like if you go to
Oh yeah.
Tinley, you're gonna see it there a lot. But I've seen them on Morph Market and everything. Bolin's that's a little bit harder.
Oh,
Bolin's like only a few people like in the U.S. like probably
Curly
bred them.
Nerd got
But
them. Evan McCurley got them.
yeah, but,
Breeds them. Kevin's
yeah. Kevin's full of knowledge. So let me ask you something. With keeping cave geckos, what has been like your biggest failure, and what have you learned from that?
Um, my biggest failure with my Oranius species or Vietnamese species. Um, my female ended up producing her first set of eggs, and I decided to incubate them. And during the incubation process, I guess it was, I think the incubator provided too much moisture and it kind of rotted the eggs or molded the
Okay.
eggs. So that's one of my biggest failures and learning experiences.
There you go.
Because
Yeah.
now that I'm thinking about it or reflecting on this situation, I think with this particular species, I'd rather keep the eggs inside the enclosure than try to incubate.
Okay.
So that's
So just
my
leave them there
next
with
step.
the geckos.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I like that.
Question for you. What do you think happened to Lilith? What do you think caused that?
Um, Looking back, or when I talked to Anthony about it, because a lot of people, I'm not too familiar with the terms or illnesses when it comes to jungle pythons, or is it like a jaguar kind of disease?
Are
Commenters
you
on my
talk?
post, I think you know what
It's
I'm
a
talking about.
jaguar,
She's a
so it has
jungle.
like the bobblehead.
She's a
Oh,
jungle, but
sorry.
other people mentioned something of a jaguar kind of illness
Yeah,
where,
so jaguar is like spider in ball pythons, where they have some neurological issues.
yeah. So people commented that maybe she suffered from that. But when I spoke to Anthony, he thinks that maybe she tried to swallow the quail and probably either the beak or the foot probably tore the lineage of her esophagus. And yeah,
Could have been. I mean, are they bird eaters in the wild, or are they mostly rodents?
I
Gotta
believe bird eaters, I think.
gotta
Yeah,
be it.
yeah, because I don't think there's a lot of rodents in Australia, right?
Yeah. A lot of
Yeah,
venomous though.
yeah, yeah, sure is. That's man. I've been to Australia a couple times. God damn.
It's
But
just, I ain't been nowhere. Damn.
no,
That's on
no,
my
I've been
bucket
to.
list.
I bring
Thank
all.
you, military.
That's
The
why
military got me to go to a whole
I,
bunch of different places.
I've never been. I've never been there, so I'm gonna make a little chunk of it right here.
Right.
Yeah.
So, all right, Melissa. So where can everybody find you at and look
Um,
at all your good stuff, all the stuff you're showing off?
you can follow me at Weebgirl Reptiles on Instagram. I really don't give out my Facebook page because it's my personal page, but Instagram.
Okay. Yeah. How'd you come up with that name?
Um, besides, besides working with reptiles as a hobby, I do cosplay, and I love anime. I
Yeah.
love the Japan culture. I love their anime. I love their food. I love their style of clothing. And yeah, I'm a weeb.
There
So
you
that's
go.
what that means?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. Dang.
Yeah.
I learned something right here with that one. Yeah. I was like, no, I was in Japan for like 3 years, and this was probably during, it was like 2000, probably like 2003 to 2006. And they wanted to be so like Americans so bad. It was crazy. Like they were, like I would go to, not Okinawa, probably like Yokohama or something like that, and they be driving lowriders and Cadillacs. There was like a not a well over there is Acura, so Acuras and like the Nissans. None of those, none of the Euro stuff. It was all they wanted caddies, 6.4s, all that shit. I'm like, the hell's going on over here?
Living that Tokyo drift life.
Yeah, no, they were living that West Coast, no,
Yeah.
what's called Ice Cube and shit. That's what
They,
they were hitting they were hitting the hydros and all that shit, man.
they got a whole show on Netflix about it. There's a whole thing on a little mini series on Netflix about that scene. They call it something, but it's like the West Coast Cali scene.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wild.
All right, cool. So,
All want we
so
have, right? We all want we don't have.
exactly, just like how we all want these different kind of geckos from all around the world, or all these animals from all around the world, and we don't want no don't want the stuff that's here that's locally.
You ain't lying. I wish someone would. I put it in a box and sent it to their ass.
Just no, no. I mean, a lot of people like Coleonyx. No, I like the
What's that?
because we Coleonyx. So there are our versions of leopard geckos. They're a little
Oh,
bit smaller. So yeah. And then like I like the alligator lizards. Like we have like there's a San Diego alligator lizard. There's a Texas alligator lizard. There's a Arizona one as well.
I think there's
I
Mexican
like
alligator
them.
lizards too. The Mexican
Yeah, well
ones.
those are the bronias. Yeah, those are the
Bronies.
bronias.
are they
Yeah,
related? Same animal?
yeah. I mean, they're a little bit they're a little bit related. Just these ones, like the ours, are more brownish than anything else. Um, but they you don't have to keep them just as you don't have to keep them as cool because they're not like cloud forest animals or anything like that. Like you can find them like up north from where I live at, maybe like 3 or 4 hours up north.
What's
Uh,
the exciting we got? You should come out here. I'll get you a red ear slider,
nah,
maybe a garter snake, salamanders.
right, all right. So
The
I think
best
we're
I can offer
good.
you is just a pigeon. That's the best.
Dude, I got those right now in my apartment, right here. I can hear them just flocking and everything.
They probably make good feeders for some of them tree snakes, though. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you might want to. I don't know. They be eating shit, so I don't know.
Infested with diseases. I'll pass on that.
Yeah, for real. Yeah. I mean, y'all. I mean, even with crickets, they got diseases. They got stuff,
Yeah.
and our animals just adapt to it.
yeah,
So
experiment, man. I wanted to take crickets and give them panicure
yeah,
to dewormer, and see if it would kill the crickets or if I could deworm the crickets before they went. I wasn't sure if it would kill the bug. I don't know. I forgot to do it, so I can get back to you on that one.
all right.
I'm
Cool.
curious
All right.
too now.
Why not?
Hey, you work at the vet. You can go ahead and do
I
it.
know. That's
You
I'm
can
like,
tell your
that's a
doctor,
good
hey,
idea.
let's run this experiment real quick.
We'll do it. I'll get back to you. I'll let you know by the end of the week.
Yeah, for sure. All right.
I'll let you know
All
by
right.
Thursday.
All right. And you got any last questions?
You know me, man. I could keep going and going and going. You want me? You don't want me to keep
going.
going.
Nah, keep going, man. I said, it depends on Melissa, what kind of time you got, because
No, I'm
I know it's
chilling
late
at least
over
for
there.
now.
Yeah.
The tails did they regen their tails? The cave geckos?
Yeah,
do.
they actually do. Yeah.
That's crazy. So they're in our not arboreal. They're a terrestrial species, or do any of
Yeah.
the species they all actually live in caves?
I'm assuming certain species live on islands, so I'm assuming that they're pretty much around a lot of foliage, or I guess
So
kind of
Yeah.
caves.
I think hearing some things like I've heard like they live around the caves, but make sure there's always a lot of usually like some water streams and stuff as well.
The
That's
best
why it's so
person that you
humid.
could ask that question to would be Richie, because I believe recently he went out to Japan to try to see if he can find wild caught cave geckos. Um I can reach out and
Nice.
see, but I'm not sure if he was able to see any wild caught individuals when he went out there. So
Yeah.
have you ever seen any pictures of any wild ones?
no.
No. I
I'm
wonder if they look
usually
different in captivity.
I'm in the cave gecko group on Facebook, but I haven't seen anyone post any cave geckos from their origins.
Been a while.
Yeah.
Is there any books on them?
No.
Is there any?
It's actually,
No, that's crazy. I would
there.
think they would have something on them.
I
I
know
would
it's
have to do
taboo, but
research.
you hybridize them? You think they could hybridize?
Honestly, I think so. I don't want to.
How you make
For me,
Listen.
no. I don't want to get into this topic because there's pros to cons. A lot of people don't like carpandros, but I'm actually trying to work with my best friend in breeding my carpandros. But I don't want to be that person to say
Listen.
I want to hybridize my cave
I'm not trying
geckos. But
to mislead anybody. What's it matter? I just paired up a hybrid pair of geckos the other day my damn self to see what happens. We're learning. We've been doing this for a while. Days still a lesson. We're still trying to learn. The more we do, the more we learn, the more we fail, the more information we have to give other people. So it's like,
For me,
unless we're out trying to
I
pull the
agree
sheets
with
over
you.
someone.
The thing with hybridization is that there's people who are assholes about it. They're not open minded. They're pretty much they want to keep everything purebred, and at the same time, it's just like it's not true because in the wild we have hybrids. So
yeah,
I'm
they
not
come
sure. I
across each
want
other
to
and
experiment,
oh,
but that's something that I would have to keep a secret at least for now.
you keep it a secret until you like get your results back, right? It's like, all
Yeah.
right, you pair these two.
Evolution. If every species ended at its species, extinction would be imminent. Everything would eventually be extinct, right? Like at some point, nature is smarter than we will ever be. The hybridization has to, in theory, have something to do with evolution.
Yeah.
It's only natural. I know it sounds crazy, but it's just so natural. If you know anything about geology, the continents are always moving, right? Just when there was like Pangea broke up and shifted. It's still shifting. There are still continental drifts happening as we speak right now, So who's to say in another million years the two continents won't jam each other again and two species that haven't touched for 18 million years wind up there together? We're, as human beings, Homo sapiens, a very, very young species, right? There's species on this planet, like animals that have been here for hundreds of millions of years unchanged. Sharks, certain species, unchanged for hundreds of millions of years. Even some crocodilian species are millions of years without being changed.
Without change, yeah.
And I just think, like you said, people are so closed-minded. It's like ignorant. Like you just I can't. You can't talk to anybody that's not willing to think. Out of the box. They just, again, like a type. And I don't even want to start bashing people, but you know what it is, man. No one's gonna tell me what I'm gonna learning. If I want to learn, I want to run an experiment. Listen, you don't got to do it, but I promise you, I'll know more at the end of the day than you do. So
yeah, and I think most people, I don't think they think like that either, though, right? No. They just do it for the fun of it, not say, all right, I want to say, like, what's your cave geckos, right? You paired them together, those different species. Now you want to, now you're starting to do your documentation. You get offspring from them. They grow up. Now you pair that one to a non-hybrid, see what happens. Is it sterile? Is it more fertile? What's the ratio to that species or that species? So there's a difference between like what Ant and maybe what you might, if you choose to do it, is what you're doing. Some people are like, I just want to put them together so I can make two things. It's like, no, come with a little bit more thought than that, right?
Yeah.
I know people out here that do that shit with Cresties and Chihuahuas. Oh, I'm gonna put them together. Why are you doing it? What are you trying to? What's the outcome you're trying to get with that? And they're like, I don't know. I was like, come on, man.
I just paired up in a Chihuahua, man. I'm trying to make some. Dude, they make insane animals. It makes some insane animals, and it's one of them things that's so taboo that people that do it about it, people that blab about it don't even know what the fuck they're doing. You just couldn't afford another Chihuahua, so you just try it in there. Yeah. It's like I'm trying to see what's happening. I want to see what these genetics do. I want to see why. Because if you look at them, right, and I don't mean to go off on a tangent, but they all have these certain characteristics. So certain characteristics from the Chihuahua are super dominant. Like they're super dominant. The size, the prehensile tail. Like when you breed hybrid a crested gecko and a Chihuahua, it loses certain characteristics of one species and loses certain characteristics of another. But they both hold specific characteristics of each other. So it's like I want to know that firsthand myself. I want it. I want it. You know, I don't just want one. I go buy one. You know, I want to play with the genes. I want to play with the genetics. I want to do like you said, Jay. I want to take a hybrid and put it back to a crested gecko and see what happens there. Do the Chihuahua genes still hold strong, or will the crested take over, being that it's a higher percentage now? And do the same thing, vice versa. Like it's just something outside of the box that, again, like I like yourself almost, Melissa. Like you obviously don't do what everyone and their mother's doing, right? I want to fall into it because kids, you want to fall in love with eyelashes on a fucking gecko. So now I got geckos that got eyelashes, and I'm trying to do my own thing with them, you know, instead of what everybody else is doing. Oh, reds are hot this week. I want to make red crested geckos. They're not hot. Okay, I'll get the make. All right, have fun. Have fun. Let me know when the routine gets back to me.
Yeah. So what's the cave gecko community like though? I was like, I'm not in none of those groups, so is it you got drama or you guys pretty chill? You get along besides that one person.
For the most part, it seems chill. Again, like I don't network as much. Usually when I'm in any type of Facebook groups in regards to like certain reptiles, I'm just like a lurker. I'm just reading posts because there's a lot of drama. There's a lot of drama with tree monitors. There's a lot of drama with green tree pythons and husbandry there, and you know, egos and stuff like that. So it's usually like I'm just reading.
Right.
Yeah, I'm just reading posts.
You just entertaining though, ain't it? You see some shit. Boy, these motherfuckers are nuts. Man.
That's all I do. I'm just like you. I just be lurking on all these on the Facebook groups and like, all right, what are y'all talking about today? What bullshit y'all got going on today?
Knows it all. And the crazy shit is a person asking a question today, like you obviously didn't experience nothing. Someone else will ask the same question tomorrow, and you want to go off on a tangent telling them, just regurgitating what you heard yesterday. Like you forget that people can see you asked the same question yesterday. Now you're over here telling somebody, like it's retarded.
Yeah.
Facebook, boy, Facebook is some shit. I punch Zuckerberg right in his fucking mouth if I seen him. Word to God, man.
Oh shit, that's funny.
Nothing to say.
So, you got any plans for vending, or are you just gonna kind of it's just your own little hobby that you're gonna keep to yourself?
Right now, I'm not considering vending, at least not yet. I'm still new.
Yeah.
And again, my first purchase was with Richie. So when it comes to learning about selling and stuff like that and how much my geckos are worth, I'm still researching that. Right now, I'm just honing or trying to master breeding and raising my babies.
There you go.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Brands though, you have like this little, you know, when Jay told me that you were coming on and we were doing the interview, I obviously had to, you know, looked up who you were and what you were doing. I mean, you're building a nice little brand. You're branding yourself, so you have to have some sort of a real passion more than just, or aspirations, I should say, more than just, you know, a room and a couple geckos. You got to have bigger dreams, right?
Yeah. Eventually, I want to open up my own business.
There you go.
And that's just a work in progress. It's one step at a time. Because it's all,
what kind of business we talking
about financing and stuff like that. Like for me, I want to be able to show off realistic enclosures and realistic environments. That's one.
Mm-hmm.
Two, I want to produce quality animals. And three, I want to also promote proper medical or medicinal practices as well, because again, not a lot of people know how to treat mouth rot or scale rot or, you know, prolapse and stuff like that. So I want to be able to be well-rounded.
Yeah. So you're trying to have a shop or something else? What kind of business we talking about? Like what's that
For now, maybe a shop. And I'm gonna start small first and then expand.
There you go. Smart way to do it.
Yeah. Get that experience, you know, and you know, especially with, you know, a variety of animals, because Me and Ant had this talk, about his, your dude trying to open up a second shop before the first shop even opened up, and he didn't know much about what the hell he even had. So it's always good to have that knowledge on a variety of stuff, so people feel confident when they, if they do try to buy from you. So
Yeah, one thing that I want to stray away from is like Petco and how they keep their animals and stuff like that. I
yeah,
want to have an establishment where we're all very educated and can provide proper um, information to people who want to consider purchasing a reptile or a gecko.
Nobody offers that.
They
Like you
don't.
walk into a place, gotta call somebody over or call the fish guy who don't know a damn thing about other than goldfish, or the reptiles, like you said, in the big box stores where every enclosure is literally kept the same with the same enrichment, the same substrate, the same damn water bowl. It's all the same. Like they don't, nobody knows nothing. Like unless you go to a little mom and pop joint out here, I mean, it's a good point. It's a good point. It'd be a gold mine to be able to go somewhere and have an expert on every species you bought. Like, not here's a little care guide that everything in it is wrong, like, and not a go home and go Google it yourself. But this is the deal: someone that knows everything about them, and that's awesome. That'd be awesome to have.
yeah, especially the medical part too, like being able to tell your customers, like, look, this is what you need. This is what you need to do in order for your, your reptile to, get back to its normal ways, or,
That's
or
the
like you said,
that's the
go
thing
ahead.
when it comes to reptiles and any type of diseases and stuff like that, or any medicinal practices. It's kind of rare. It's not really explored
Yeah,
upon because there's a lot of stigma when it comes to reptiles. Oh, they're icky and they're gross and stuff like that, and they're not. They're not.
At all.
there's not another living organism trying to live in this world, right?
Yep.
It's like some people just don't get it. It's like, no, they have intelligence as well. Might not be what you're used to,
Used
or
to.
it's not like a dog where you call its names, they'll come right over. No, these things you got to work with. You got to work for that respect from them. So
Yeah, I definitely have like that. I mean, even as a kid coming up, a reptile, I always had that like disposable animal stigma. Like if a reptile gets sick, it's not worth the vet bill. You just get another one. Like that, people got to get over. And I do genuinely do believe from the '80s to now, it's like night and day. It's
oh
night
yeah,
and people have definitely the hobby itself has come light years since I was a kid. Still got a lot way to go. I mean, I believe I'm sure both you do too, but it could absolutely be as big, as mainstream as cats and dogs, man. In all actuality, most of these things are easier to keep, and I got both. I got a cat, I got a dog. They're easier to keep than cats and dogs. They cost less
yeah,
money than cats and dogs. Like they
yep,
fit lifestyle. If you want to be on the go, if you're going to school, if you live in an apartment, whether you got a house, whether you live in any type of climate, like you could have reptiles, man. They suit. And the pandemic helped with that. I mean, look how many people bought reptiles during the pandemic. The pandemic opened up a lot of eyes when people were locked in the crib.
yep,
Aren't going outside walking
If
the
I could
dog or
go
doing.
back in time, if I could go back in time.
yeah, for real.
Lying.
I probably would have made some different purchases.
I know.
Damn sure
Damn.
would. I was about. Oh
Yep.
man.
All right, cool. All right, so it's about an hour and a half. So I gotta go do a little bit more extra stuff. Uh, so Melissa, it was a real pleasure having you on, and I'm glad that you got over everything, and then we
I was
powered through this.
nervous.
Like I said, you're good. Said we didn't have to do anything. You just just be your natural self. That's all you did. It was
No
nice.
problem.
Just
Thank you
taught
guys.
so many species. You just
Yeah,
exposed hundreds of people to these geckos that not many people are. I mean, you helped a lot of people, by coming on and talking about these species, and I appreciate you. I really do.
yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you.
Like Aunt said, you you open the light to a species that's pretty easy to care for. It doesn't have crazy requirements as like a bearded dragon or even a leopard gecko that has probably more requirements than them. So we definitely appreciate that.
Thank
So I
you.
wish you the best of luck on all your breeding programs and even the stuff we haven't talked about. Wish you luck on that stuff.
Thank you. Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. And it's been an honor. It's my first podcast and my interview, so I'm happy.
Honored.
All right. Cool.